Blessings and welcome to today's Law Enforcement Daily Devotional. Today we're in Mark chapter 4 verses 1 through 34, and then we're in Matthew chapter 13 verses 1 through 53. This is following yesterday's reading out of Luke that talked about spreading the seeds, and some seeds fell on rocky ground, and some fell on good soil, and some fell among thorns. And so that's what Mark and Matthew go through today. So I thought it was really cool, and I really was going to spend some time on Matthew 4 verse 6. It says, because, and this the seed, these are the seeds that are thrown, and this seed didn't take root, and it says because it had no root. It did not sink down in the soil and grow because it had no roots. Roots are very important, and as a Christian, the way we work on our roots are the things and the part of us that are unseen. Just like a tree, it's the part of the tree that's underground and it's unseen, but it's very important. It anchors it. Our roots are our knowledge and understanding of God's Word. I was going to grab a Bible, but I don't see one right here handy. There's tons behind me. God's Word is how we build and strengthen our roots and anchor ourselves in the truth. So make sure that, we obviously are people that had roots, or the seed wouldn't have taken effect, correct? So anyway, yesterday in Luke 8:18, we also spoke of the Bible saying, so take care how you listen. And we spent a little time on the importance of your eyes and your mouth. I missed that again. Your ears and your mouth. I don't know why I keep thinking the eyes has something to do with it. Anyway, what you listen to. Mark 4:24. It's the same story. It's the mirror story, but in this one it says, take care what you listen to. Take care what you listen to. What do you find yourself listening to? I had a friend of mine yesterday that asked me to come into her office, and I walked in, and she said, you gotta watch this. And so she plays this TED Talk of a guy talking about just being prepared. And it was really funny, and it was really interesting, and there was a thread of truth in it. I saw myself in some of his TED Talk. But I asked her, I've seen probably 3 TED Talks, and apparently they've been around for a while, and there's a bunch of them. But I asked her, I said, so, and she's younger, I said, so what are TED Talks to your culture, your generation, the people that you grew up with? And she told me, TED Talks are where we go to get inspiration and truth. They go to TED Talks for inspiration and truth. Now, this girl is a Christian. I know that because of conversations we've had and continue to have. But just that she would make that kind of a confession, that she goes to TED Talks for inspiration and truth, I thought was very interesting. One of my favorite preachers of all time, graduate from Dallas Theological Seminary, where I'm currently going, Dr. Michael Easley. Love listening to him, but he always says, he said this for years, don't let the world teach you theology. Be careful what you're listening to. That's what Jesus tells us here in Mark 4:24. What are you listening to? Make sure you're listening to the right things. Make sure you're going to the right things to listen to hear truth, not what the world is trying to teach you is truth. So anyway, Matthew chapter 13. I'm going to jump over to that one. A farmer has planted his crops, but there have been weeds that have grown up with his wheat. And his workers say, hey, should we go out there and pull up the weeds? And the farmer says, no, we're going to let it grow, because if you go out there and start trying to pull up weeds, you're probably going to accidentally pull up some of the wheat. And it was so important not to pull the wheat and only pull the weeds, the thing that needed to be pulled out. In 13:29, he said, no, For while you are gathering up the tares, you may uproot the wheat with them. I don't know why, but that just brought me to this saying I've always heard. And it makes me realize that it probably has its roots in the Bible. But have you ever heard this as far as our criminal justice system? It's better that 10 guilty men go free than for one innocent man to be convicted. It is so important that we don't put any innocent people in jail that we would lean so far to keep that from happening that we would let 10 guilty go free. We don't want to injure the innocent while picking out the guilty. Does that make sense? You don't want to pull up the wheat accidentally while you're trying to rip out the weeds and the tares. I just thought that was really interesting and a good law enforcement takeaway. So tomorrow we're going to be in Matthew chapter 4 and 5. Then we're going to go to Matthew and pick up chapter 8 where we left off the other day, and we're going to read some of chapter 9, and we're also going to be in Luke chapter 8. So those will be on the last slide if you need to write those down. In the meantime, you guys be safe.